So you're thinking about moving to Tooele, Utah. So in this video, we're going to cover the pros and the cons, the good and the bad of living in the Tooele area. So we're not going to just limit this to Tooele City. We're going to cover the surrounding areas like Grantsville, like Stansbury Park, like Lake Point, like Erda. And so when people from around Salt Lake City and the surrounding areas think about Tooele, oftentimes they think about Tooele Valley, Tooele County, with those areas that surround Tooele. So we're just going to talk about all of it, let you know what the good and the bad is, why people choose to live in Tooele, why some people would never even consider living in Tooele. So you're going to want to stick around to find out exactly what those reasons are, and we're going to get after it right now. If this is your first time to the channel, and if you'd like to know everything there is to know about living in Salt Lake City, Utah, as well as the surrounding areas like Tooele, then subscribe below, tap the bell for notifications so that you can be the first to know about the current market in Salt Lake City, Utah. Hi, my name's Steve Gilbert. I'm with eXp Realty. My team and I, we get calls and emails every day from people just like you that are looking for help with making their move to Salt Lake City, Utah, and we absolutely love it. So whether you're looking to move in 9 days or 90 days, give us a call, shoot us a text. You can always schedule a Zoom call with us. The information, it'll be in the description below. We'd love to help you make a smooth move to Salt Lake City, Utah, or to areas like Tooele. So as I mentioned, we're going to talk about the pros and the cons of the Tooele area, and we're going to get started right now. The first pro that we are going to cover in this video, and that's going to be the affordability. That is one of the biggest reasons that people move out to the Tooele area, because they're going to get more home for their money. We're currently looking at a median home price in Tooele of $455,000. When we compare that against Salt Lake County, which is currently at $550,000, you can see we've got a big difference. So, you know, people are willing to deal with some of the cons that we will be discussing for that affordability to simply get more home for their money out there. Tooele County in general, the main cities that people move to out there, obviously Tooele being one of them, but we have areas like Grantsville, Stansbury Park, Erda, Lake Point. All of these home values, that median price does vary a little bit. Because Stansbury Park is on the northern end, in fact, it's just south of I-80, we do have a little bit higher median price there. We're closer to $500,000 to about $515,000 currently. The neighbor to Stansbury Park, which would be like Lake Point, that currently has a median home price of just below $500,000. And then if we look to the neighbor to the west, which is going to be on the west side of Tooele County, we have Grantsville. That's typically a more affordable area as you go out further west, but right now that median home price is actually sitting closer to $525,000 as well. So a little bit higher than we typically see there. But in general, for people looking to move to the Tooele area, they're going to find more home for their money. That's going to be one of the big draws, because they're simply not finding the home that they want in the Salt Lake County area and other areas along the Wasatch Front. So they come out to Tooele so they can get a little bit more home for that money. The next pro that we'll be discussing, and that is if you enjoy a smaller town feel, if you enjoy more of that rural atmosphere, then you're going to find that in the Tooele area. The city of Tooele has a population of around 39,500 people, but Tooele County itself has a population of around 77,000 people. So when we compare that against Salt Lake County, which has a population of just over 1.2 million people, you can see that there is a significant difference. And so if you want to, kind of have a little bit more space, have a little bit slower pace to life, you will find that in the Tooele area. Just in general, that's something that people are not going to be able to find very easily in Salt Lake County and other areas along the Wasatch Front. And so if you like a little bit of peace and quiet, good chance you can find that in the Tooele area. Another one of the pros that we will discuss, and that's going to be the inversion. And so I actually discussed this on my pros and cons video for Salt Lake City. So that was my #1 con to living in the Salt Lake City area, because the inversion in the wintertime can be so bad. People in Utah complain about the air quality. It is well known, even around the country, that in the wintertime, if you come here during the wrong week when we have a high pressure and that inversion has set in, the air quality is just really bad. So the great thing about Tooele is, even though it does experience inversion, because it's a valley and it just simply has to do with the air temperatures and that cold air being trapped and that bad air being trapped in the valley, it's much less in the Tooele area. A lot of it has to do with population, simply a lot more pollutants being released into other areas along the valley, especially Salt Lake County. But over on the Tooele side, because we're on the other side of the Ochre Mountains, we do have a lot lower inversion. So if you do have air sensitivities, breathing sensitivities, looking at some of these outlying areas outside of the Salt Lake County and the major metro areas, even like Utah County, Davis County, they're going to experience higher levels of inversion compared to what they have in the Tooele area. So for breathing sensitivities, if you just like a little bit more fresh air, you're going to find that in Tooele compared to the areas along the Wasatch Front, especially Salt Lake County. Another pro to the Tooele area, and that's going to be if you're looking for larger lots, if you like a little bit more space between you and your next door neighbor, you're going to find options out in the Tooele area. Tooele City itself doesn't have the largest average lot size. That is currently 0.23 of an acre, which is still more than many areas throughout Salt Lake County. However, a lot of these neighboring cities like Erda, like Lake Point, like Grantsville, you're going to find these larger lots available. Many lots in Lake Point are around 1 acre. There's lots of lots in Erda that are 1 acre plus. There's neighborhoods with 5 acre parcels there. And so if you want a little bit more space between you and your neighbor, you can find that in the Tooele area. Even Tooele City itself, you can find some larger lots as well. You don't have near as many of these high density areas in Tooele compared to other areas along the Wasatch Front and the Salt Lake area. The Tooele area does have something that's very unique, and that's going to be in Stansbury Park. If you're interested in having a home on the lake, there's not very many options in Utah. In fact, there are no options outside of really Stansbury Park, especially along the northern part along the Wasatch Front. And so Stansbury Park, there's Stansbury Lake. It's a small lake, but there's a neighborhood that's built around it. So if you enjoy kayaking, canoeing, if that's something that you would like to be able to walk out your back door and have access to the lake right there, there's a community that's built around that lake. So fishing, swimming, all of that stuff can be done right from your backyard. Plus, Stansbury Park has a golf course, so it's just kind of this laid-back relaxation type of community. So you've got the lake, you've got the golf course, there's open space, several different parks in the Stansbury Park area. You've got walking paths that weave throughout the area as well. One other great thing about the Stansbury Park area is this location to I-80, which is going to be your main route that's going to take you into the Salt Lake area. So you are located just south of I-80. That's one of the great benefits to those northern areas like Lake Point, like the Stansbury Park area. And so that's going to cover the pros that we're going to talk about, but that's going to tie directly into the first con that we'll be discussing, and that is the distance to Salt Lake County, and the Salt Lake City area in general. Tooele County is located on the west side of the Ochre Mountains, and because of that, you do have to drive around the mountain to get to Salt Lake County. And so if you're working in areas, especially in like the southern part of Salt Lake County, it is going to be a further drive. However, if you're on the northern end, areas like West Valley, there's a lot of businesses, a lot of warehouses. You've got the airport, you've got the International Center, you've got Boeing, you've got some of those big companies that are located around the airport. Traveling from Tooele is actually going to be very quick and very convenient because of the 201, because of I-80. However, if you're going to be traveling down to the Midvale area, South Jordan, Sandy, it's going to add some time to your commute for sure. But if you're looking for a commute that's going to be under 40 minutes, Tooele or the Tooele area can definitely keep you within that travel time. It's interesting, I bought my side-by-side and my four-wheeler from a company called Stedman's. They sell Yamaha, Polaris, Honda, motorcycles, four-wheelers, side-by-sides, you name it. If you're into those recreational vehicles and they sell them out there, I remember their commercials, hearing them on the radio, watching them on TV. They would always say, people think that Tooele is 300 miles away. Remember, it's only 30 miles back. And that's really the truth. There's a lot of people do think that Tooele is way out there in the middle of nowhere, but in all reality, as I mentioned earlier, Tooele itself is only 37 minutes to Salt Lake City, and areas up north like Stansbury Park is even closer than that. The next con that we'll discuss, and that's going to be the limited shopping options. Tooele does have your basic stores. You've got your Walmart, you've got a Home Depot, you've got your grocery store, there's a movie theater, there's a handful of restaurants, you've got an Applebee's, you've got your Cafe Rios, you've got your standard fast food places like your McDonald's and your Arby's and all of that. So, you know, you're gonna find that out there. However, anything beyond that, you're gonna have to really leave Tooele County, head over into Salt Lake County to look for those shopping options. In some of those smaller areas like Grantsville and Lake Point, Stansbury Park, you're gonna have to leave those areas to go to your Walmart. So you're gonna have to travel 10 to 15 minutes for the Home Depot, for the Walmart. If you wanna go to the movie theater, you're gonna be leaving those areas to come down into Tooele, or else you'll have to leave Tooele County in general, head over into Salt Lake County for more of the shopping and entertaining options. Another con that we'll talk about, and that's going to be for those who enjoy the outdoor recreation, there's going to be more limited options here. If you enjoy things like car racing, you've got the Utah Motorsports Campus right there in Tooele, so nice and convenient. If you enjoy doing things in the desert, riding ATVs and motorcycles in the desert area, you're gonna have that right there in your backyard as well. So if you watched my map tour video, I talked about Skull Valley. There's riding options out there. You've got 5 Mile Pass, which is south of Tooele. That's a very popular area. People from all across Utah, Salt Lake County, Utah County, Davis County come down to 5 Mile Pass to enjoy all of the trails that are located down there. You do have Middle Canyon with some camping options. You've got Ophir Canyon, which is all fairly close. However, you know, Utah is known for being a very outdoorsy state. People enjoy getting out with nature, enjoy fishing, enjoy camping, hiking, mountain biking, and there's not near as many options in the Tooele area. So most people, you know, if they've got that big toy hauler, that fifth wheel, if they've got the boat, they're gonna be driving all the way through Salt Lake County. They're gonna be heading up the canyon into the Wasatch Mountains. So now it's just that much further away. It takes that much longer to get out of town, it takes that much longer to get back into town when the weekend's over as well. And so just more limited options. If the Wasatch Mountains is your playground, again, if the desert is your preferred place to go and recreate, it's gonna be right there in your backyard, and it's gonna be super convenient for you. The next couple of cons that we'll discuss, and one of these is going to be the schools and their ratings. They don't have the strongest ratings out in Tooele County, in the Tooele School District, according to niche.com. And so most of the schools just have an average rating. Your high schools have a C+ rating. A lot of your elementary, middle schools around that C average rating. And so if schools and their ratings are going to be at the top of your list, Tooele County in general is not going to have the greatest strengths in that area. The last thing I want to touch on, that's going to be the smell that can be accompanied in the Tooele area. This isn't unique to just Tooele. You know, Davis County experiences this as well, because Davis County is directly east of the Great Salt Lake. And because Tooele is directly south of the Great Salt Lake, this awful rotten egg smell can be smelled from time to time, and it has to be under certain specific conditions. And I've experienced that smell before. It's not a very pleasant smell. I've known it's existed, however, I've never known and understood exactly like why can it smell that way from time to time. And so to Google I went, and this is what I found. When the bottom of the lake gets stirred up, lots of bubbles rise to the surface. The bubbles release the gas that forms from the decaying organic matter. And this gas smells anything but pleasant. It smells somewhat like rotten eggs. So there you go. From time to time in Tooele, that smell will be smelt when those conditions are right, and that gets stirred up. And so that's going to wrap up the pros and the cons for Tooele and that surrounding area in the Tooele County area. I hope that that helps you, you know, consider whether, you know, this is going to make that short list or not. And so if you're thinking about making that move to Salt Lake City, Utah, or to the surrounding areas like Tooele, you know, whether it's in 9 days or 90 days, give us a call, shoot us a text. You can always schedule the Zoom call with us. The information, it is in the description below. We'd love to help you make a smooth move to Salt Lake City, Utah, or to Tooele like we talked about today. And until then, I hope to see you around town.